Welcome to Malia Pro Labs this Tuesday, June 16th. We're excited to have you participate. I'm Tina Chambers, Director of Group Sales Midwest USA, and will be your host for today's event. A few housekeeping notes at the beginning. All the attendees will be muted during the presentation. Please post any questions that you have in the chat box, and my colleague Ron Warner will help us manage the Q&A at the end of the presentation. Thanks to all my colleagues, Ron, Brandy, Betsy, Carlos, Beatrice, for encouraging you to join us today. Needless to say, everything in our world is changing. Last week, we launched our Malia Pro Labs with the very first in a series of Stay Safe with Malia. Now, we're pleased to continue with this showcase of Destination Mexico post-COVID-19. Let's take a moment to watch this video. It will take us on a journey.
The greatest coincidence. The greatest casualty. Everything that you know. Everything that you love. Everything that you are can only exist in this place. This world that has given us great experiences, great moments, presents us with a new challenge. Today, we need to see each other as one. We need organization to overcome this problem together. And when we make it, we'll meet again to give you the warmest welcome in Mexico, where we can enjoy together our white beaches and turquoise waters. Venture into our jungles, mountains, and deserts. Get surprised by our enigmatic archaeological sites, historical cities, and magical towns. But above all, to celebrate life together, of course, with a great Mexican meal.
Well, if that video doesn't inspire you to pack your bags, I'm not sure what will. And to further help prepare you to return to Mexico, we have invited guest speakers, Mexico DMC experts Adam Lawhorn, CEO, and Amanda Nemeth, President of Meeting Incentive Experts. Some of you may already know Adam and Amanda through business or through their dedication to Site Global. Adam is very well traveled throughout the world from Iceland to Hong Kong and has a respect for the customs and cultures of all people. Amanda's love for Mexico started with the move from Milwaukee to Cancun and soon was immersed in the history and culture of this remarkable country now for over 14 years. MIE has operated over 1,000 programs in Mexico and uses all the resources and abilities to have clients return again and again. So let's get started and learn how MIE is adapting airport arrivals, ground transportation, excursions, and more to ensure your clients' health, safety, and security as Cabo, Riviera Maya, Cancun, and Puerto Vallarta reopen. Adam, over to you.
Tina, thank you, and thank everybody from the Malia Pro Lab series today. It's great to have everybody. Thank you again for joining us. A lot of you know Meeting Incentive Experts is a total planning DMC expert, which I founded 18 years ago because I had all this love for hospitality and Mexico. Prior to MIE, I was the CEO of a travel management company in Chicago. We were focused on 24/7 online booking tools for corporations. And this kind of allowed me to create web registration, order platforms, which was one of the only ones utilizing in Mexico for DMC services. In addition, we created the first DMC app in Mexico to assist our customers, which you can find on the Apple App Store. And now more than ever, this technology is so important in promoting digital experiences, which increase the non-touch safety protocols needed in our current COVID-19 environment. The health and safety of my team and my customer is the #1 priority for MIE, which is why we've implemented enhanced protocols, which we'll be discovering and discussing today. Utilizing sanitation protocols before and after all the services. I think this is probably the most important thing. Everybody's seeing people with rubber gloves and spray. but this is the most important as far as cleanliness and hygiene, something that MIE takes very seriously. MIE team and customer protection. MIE has health and safety procedures in place for our team and a clear guidance for program operation in all of our destinations. MIE team members will be required to complete a daily temperature and wellness check. If a team member does not meet the wellness criteria, they will not be allowed to provide services. Face masks, shields, and gloves at the airport are mandatory and part of our group meet and greet procedure, which I think you'll see everywhere. Airport arrival procedure is really changed also. It's very hard to do self-distancing and custom lines and immigration lines, but the airports are doing very well working on this with doing self-distancing and also using a lot of new tools to make the experience a lot better and safe. Upon your arrival in Mexico, you'll be greeted with new immigration social distancing procedures and document inspection. While retrieving your luggage, you will be required to follow new guidelines for self-distancing for the safety of you and fellow passengers. During custom inspection, you will notice new plastic shields protecting you from the customs officer prior to exiting the terminal. For airport transportation at MIE, all attendees will receive hand sanitizing towels, an individual bottle of antibacterial gel, and a bottle of water, all of which will be properly disinfected prior to the client distribution, which I think is so important that all these items are disinfected prior to any touch for anybody. MIE require attendees to wear masks for their protection of themselves and others. And if a client requires a mask, we'll be happy to provide them to the customer for safety. Internal and external cleaning, vehicle sanitation. I think this is the first touch when you're getting into the vehicle with the DMC to take you to the hotel or to your activity. Transportation in all transportation vehicles will be properly sanitized with antibacterial solutions as per CDC standards before and after every service. Chauffeurs will wear protective masks and gloves. And this will be a standard with MIE in Cabo, Cancun, Riviera Maya, and Puerto Vallarta. Cleaning of internal and external areas such as handles, baggage areas, seats, windows, and seat belts is so important for each and every customer. Reduce spacing, vehicle capacity. Everybody wants to know how are you going to work with vehicle spacing and how many people are going to be in each vehicle. We all have a lot of different vehicles that we're utilizing. For our transportation on our motor coaches, sprinters, SUVs, and Escalades, we'll be utilizing only 50 to 70% of our maximum capacity on our vehicles to allow for social distancing. When boarding transportation, if checklists are being used, attendees will need to adhere to new guidelines in regards to loading and unloading, allowing more space between attendees. Thank you so much, Tina.
Thanks, Adam. Well, we can certainly see the care and consideration that MIE is putting into the new protocols and safety procedures to keep clients safe and secure. I mean, transportation to and from the airport and to offsite activities is a critical component in the new day-to-day. And speaking of activities, Amanda, would you now walk us through some of the changes that the incentive groups will have to, will look to have off-property experiences? I mean, will guests still be able to experience the natural wonders of the various regions, outstanding golf, water excursions, eco tours?
Absolutely, Tina. Thank you so much. In collaboration with all of our tour partners, MIE will be requiring strict guidelines that they comply with hygiene, safety, and social distancing best practices all the way around. Many of our activity providers will also be doing random temperature checks prior to the start of activities. They will all be extending the hand sanitizing and sanitizing elements that they'll have located throughout their facilities. All of the equipment that would possibly be required for your activity will be properly cleaned and sanitized in advance and after. of its use, and obviously reduced capacities to comply with social distancing. And MIE will also be providing hand sanitizing towels and or bacterial gel to all participants for any activity. So when we look at installations, and let's start with arriving for your actual activity, prior to getting to the facility, MIE will be trying to implement check-in procedures in advance whenever we can, whenever possible, promoting more of a non-touch experience. Some of these items can include administering activity bracelets and things if they're needed prior to the arrival to the facility for check-in, and any type of digital pre-registration when it's available, so that the arrival of the attendees is seamless once they actually get to their facility. As I had mentioned, the activity installations are taking proper precautions as well on their behalf. Some will be using sanitizing mats and or tunnels at their entrance before entering, temperature checks, increased sanitation throughout their installations, lots of posted signage advising of all of this information that's in clear view and all over the facility, and then, abiding by the guidelines for the new social distancing. When we start to look at guest safety, for the safety and security of all of our guests, MIE team members will be required to wear masks and enforce social distancing and enhanced hand washing practices at all times so that we can operate safely. We will also require that our tour partners comply with MIE protocols, which will be confirmed in their BEOs for each service. And guests will also be required to wear their masks on transportation and whenever possible, if needed, also during their activity. If a guest is in need of a mask and they do not have one, MIE would be happy to provide one for them. And they may be required to sign health declarations prior to the start of their activity. For activities by land, chauffeurs and guides will all be required to wear face masks and protective glasses and gloves as a standard in the vehicle. Again, vehicles will all be sanitized before and after each service. Temperature checks may be implemented prior to boarding to assure safety for everyone. And as Adam had mentioned, the reduced capacities that we will be enforcing on vehicles to comply with social distancing. For excursions by sea, again, all guides and crew will be required to use masks, safety glasses, and adhere to different group size capacities based on their vessels. Hand sanitizing products will be available upon boarding, and all disinfecting of equipment such as life jackets, kayaks, snorkeling equipment, stand-up paddles, anything that you might be using on your water adventure will be properly disinfected. And basically, when you look at capacities, that will be something that each group will have to decide when you look at the size of the vessel and the number of participants that you're going to have. But again, something that can definitely be accommodated in order to comply with social distancing. For our eco adventures, considering items such as nature parks, motorized vehicles, zip lining, and any type of animal encounter, again, all guides and crew will be required to use the proper safety procedures as far as masks and glasses, enforcing their social distancing protocols based on each excursion, proper sanitation of all of their vehicles and equipment prior to and after each service. And for activities that might require helmets and gloves, such as zip lining or rappel, there will be disinfected bandanas and protective gloves that can be worn underneath the actual utility equipment that you're using for your safety and for cleanliness. And for animal encounters, they may be restricting contact in some regards. For example, if you do a swim with the dolphins experience, there will no longer be the face kiss or the nose touch, just some extra things to help protect everyone all the way around. When we look at golf probably has the least amount of needed change just due to the nature of the sport and the distance that's already established by its play. However, when we start to think of some new protocols, a lot of our courses are being forcing things such as some of the items that you see here. They may be doing limitations on their full capacities or their buyouts. They'll be extending periods of time between tee times. So for example, if a standard time from one tee time to the next is 10 minutes. It may now be 20, just to allow for extra space. Golf carts and all rental equipment will be sanitized before and after each use, and the changing of the scorecards and the pencils will occur after each round. And touching or removing the flags will now be prohibited on the course. The clubhouses will also be enforcing their reduced capacities and using digital and disposable items such as menus and napkins. Food and beverage. Tina.
Yeah, I mean, this is a lot to take in. But it looks like not only MIE, but all the venues in Mexico really get what needs to be done and are ready to provide the incentive quality experiences in a safe and secure environment. But how will it work for food and beverage? If a guest looks to go off-site to restaurants, I mean, how does a client know that the restaurants are going to have the right protocols in place?
Thank you, Tina. All of our restaurant partners are increasing their already good practices for health and safety in order to comply with the new industry standards. Utilizing an off-site restaurant for dine-arounds or VIP dinners is a truly great way to showcase the destination's hospitality while providing a memorable experience for your attendees. For dining while maintaining distance, when you're considering group dining, whether that be at a restaurant or a venue, new guidelines are evolving and being implemented to accommodate an array of creative spaces to fit any size group. Remember that a culinary journey in the destination that your attendees are celebrating their incentive or meeting is something that should not be missed. When we talk about venue sanitation, some of the bullet points that you can see here that our restaurant partners are implementing are obviously the full training and safety protocols that the staff needs to comply with. Many locations are using things such as surface misting and UV lighting before and after opening the restaurant to keep things sanitized. Different and proper disinfection when it comes to cutlery, glassware, and plateware. Complete and very frequent cleaning of their credit card terminals and any controls needed to complete transactions. Special protection on the dishes on their way from the kitchen to the table to assure that they're safe on their journey. And unfortunately, suspension of tableside dishes and mixology presentations. So that beautiful Caesar salad you might have had before at the table is something that will have to be skipped for the time being. For the venue protocols, when you think about what your next group dining experience might look like, many of our partners are using some of these practices as well, such as greeters that will be assisting at the opening of the door and the entrance to the restaurant for less touch purposes, and also possible temperature checks, mandatory use of masks and proper equipment by all of the staff, frequent hand washing, no physical contact between staff and patrons, reduced table capacities and more space between tables, and assembly of table service upon your actual arrival. And this is something that I think we're all seeing in a lot of our restaurants that might be reopening. The table is not properly set until you have actually arrived, and they can do it in front of you to show the safety and the cleaning measures that they are using. Many restaurants are taking a digital menu approach and disposable napkins in lieu of their standards. If you're doing a buffet type setting, that might be now controlled by actual chefs, still a buffet setup, but protected and served by chefs themselves. And then different types of creative layouts to include more non-touch things, such as self-serve, to go individual personalized meals or boxes set differently to allow for more space. Thank you so much, Tina. I think that Adam has some updates on our app that he'd like to share with us.
Yeah, please.
Wow, thank you, Amanda, and for all that information. And Tina, thank you again. Yes, MIE we talked about is the first DMC with our own app where you can find information for all of our Mexico destination. As an added measure of safety and eliminating touch contact, we'll be using QR codes for each hospitality desk for easy selection of activities. The day of the hospitality book has been fading, and we've been using iPads for the last 4 years in all of our destinations. But now what we will be doing is also giving that attendee a QR code so they can spin through their hospitality book and choose something, and at the moment they can purchase something in US dollars with their web registration page or with the app with the QR code. This way there will be no transaction or exchange fees because MIE is the only DMC that charges in dollars with no service fee.
Yeah, no, great, awesome stuff in the digital. I mean, digital is the way to go, that's for sure. Can you just, I mean, you touched definitely upon it throughout, both you and Amanda, but can you just tell us a little bit more how you're training your staff both in Chicago and in Mexico?
Yes, so a lot of you know our staff in Mexico. There is Paola on that page greeting a guest at a site inspection in Los Cabos. We've implemented a lot of hygiene and safety guidelines. Amanda and myself have been in our office in Los Cabos for the last 3 months, staking it out there instead of coming back to Chicago. We've done a lot of Zoom calls and a lot of conference calls with our team in Cancun, Puerto Vallarta, and also Los Cabos. We've come up with the best protocols and program operations for each of our team members must comply with. Our Mexico offices have completed the government IME certification, which you'll be seeing a lot of people are doing, but we were the first DMC to certify all of our offices, and that was done by yesterday. We have researched and purchased all necessary equipment for our teams, such as face masks, shields, gloves, laser non-touch thermometers, which yesterday, Tina, right after we did this presentation, we've made a decision that all of our airport transportation, we will be taking temperatures of people before they board our vehicle, just for the safety of everyone else. We think that the airport is an important time period to do that. Our team has taken multiple social distancing, practicing with new measures. We return to work with our clients for upcoming programs. We want you to know that we're certified and ready for your visit. We have bi-weekly Zoom calls for all of our offices to discuss wellness practices and strict protocol for all of our team and our customers. Thank you again, be safe, and we look forward to welcoming you to Mexico real soon.
Thank you so much for taking us through your journey through this post-COVID-19 world. This concludes our presentation. And just before we start the Q&A, from feedback questions that are rolling in, I'd like to remind you to join us on June 23rd as my colleague Brandy Rock hosts a virtual site inspection tour of Paradisus Los Cabos with the guest speaker Claudia Rodriguez, who's the Director of Sales at that resort. And also on July 7th, Betsy Gray, who's been doing the slides today, thanks, hosts part 2 of the Stay Safe with Malia, joined by Anna Garcia and Mincy Torres from Paradisus, food and beverage, and the meeting and events portions of this topic. So we hope we keep you interested in joining us like every Tuesday at 2 o'clock Eastern, 1 o'clock Central, 11 o'clock Pacific. So let's go ahead and move on to your questions. I mean, I know that the warm weather has really come to the USA and Canada, but I imagine every single one of us, after seeing the video and hearing about this, want to be right here with our head on the pillow and our feet in the sand sooner than later. So Ron, I will turn it over to you to go through some of the questions.
Thank you, Tina. Our first question comes from Carrie Naylor-Kraus. Amanda, when you say sanitizing tunnel, what do you mean by that?
So sanitizing tunnels are something, if you look it up, you can see that a lot of locations are using, including hotels and venues. It's basically a very short tunnel, almost similar to what you go through in TSA, that has some type of a misting component that is supposed to disinfect you and your clothing before you enter the location you're walking into.
Great, thank you. Our next question comes from Ashley Lawson, also to you, Amanda. She wants to know if you have any fun, unique ideas for locally sourced gifts. And then the second part of the question goes to Tina, wanting to know if Malia is still able to help with room drops.
So yes, actually, we have a large array of room gifts that we're able to assist with. All is done factory direct in our Mexico destinations, so there's no passing of too many hands, and it also is very cost effective to source something locally. The other great reason to do that is also to avoid any shipping charges that you might incur having to use a customs broker. We can have everything set and ready for you in the destination upon arrival.
Okay, part 2 of the question. I will have to say, we will have to get back to you regarding the details, unless one of my colleagues has a little bit more insight into that right now.
Yeah, I think we're still working through that, Tina. It's a great question, Ashley. And I know that on July 7th, Betsy will have those answers. So stay tuned as we continue to work through that. I believe we will still have them, but we don't have exactly the protocol. So give us another week or two, please.
Thank you.
Thank
Next
you.
question comes from Chris to Adam. Is the MIE app only available for Apple devices?
It actually is right now. It was on Android on Google, and it is actually being revamped right now for that particular platform. You can take a look at that. It should be no longer than July 1. We had a web call about that today. We were having some issues with that with our software that we were using. We go through an app update usually every 6 months, and Google was one that we took off until we could repair it, but it will be on very soon. Absolutely. But you can also go to our website at miexperts.com, and you can see everything that's on the web.
Great, thank you, Adam. Our next question from Jenny Castleberry, and I would say that probably falls under what Tina had mentioned, is part of our health and safety that will still be coming out. But the question is, will guidelines restrict decor companies, decor provided by DMCs into the hotels in a post-COVID environment? So that's something that we will have to source and get back to you with.
Yeah, I do know, sorry, I was gonna say one thing. We had a call this morning, and it doesn't exactly directly address decor, but we were talking with the team that handles guest experience as well as entertainment. And they were talking about how anyone who's coming into the property that is not an employee will still come in through the employee entrance, have to go through all the same protocols as an employee with the temperature screening, et cetera, et cetera. So that starts to give you an idea that yes, we definitely will have procedures in place.
Thanks, Tina. Next question is for Adam. What happens if a guest arriving at the airport has a fever, and what is the protocol for that?
So there's 2 airport operation companies that run the airports in Puerto Vallarta, Cancun, and Los Cabos. The Puerto Vallarta and Los Cabos is operated by Pacific, and Azur operates Cancun. We've been talking to them about that, and what would happen is they would be on the grounds of the airport. The airport is going to have medic station areas at the airport that will be set up in case somebody is not detected. Currently, right now, they are using a heat detective monitor camera on everybody that walks through to the immigration area. Same way with departures. So basically, they're looking for people with that hot temperature. The reason that we're thinking about doing scans for people that we're implementing right away is that if for some reason they are missed, here's a secondary check, which we always know is a good thing to have. Because they are on airport property, they would be turned to the medics and the personnel that are with the airport.
Great, thank you. Another question again from Carrie Naylor-Krause to Amanda, wanting to know if somebody chooses not to go through the sanitizing tunnel and don't want to breathe in the spray, is that a possibility?
I'm sure that that's something that can be, flexible based on the location of where they're entering. I'm not sure as far as check-in at hotels are concerned, for example, just because they have, you all have protocols in place that you're trying to stand by. I think the purpose of it with that or the mat is just to have one more way to kind of cleanse and sanitize before you enter the location that you're just arriving to. Obviously, as long as your hands are clean and you're wearing a mask and doing other things, I'm sure that that's something that can be discussed on a case-by-case basis.
Great.
Can I answer that also, Ron, really quickly?
Sure.
A couple of new technologies that have just come out this week that we're working on. It's going to be, again, almost like a TSA metal detector, where it will detect if you have a fever. And they're very, very, very spot on, like 99.9% accurate. A lot of hotels in Mexico right now are previewing that information, that will be a lot easier to use, and it will be better as far as accuracy of their temperature. So I think that you'll start to see not a mist, but you'll start to see almost like a, security checkpoint at activities, at restaurants, and at hotel entrances. It's something that just came out last week, and a couple of hotel chains in the United States are looking at utilizing those in hotels here.
Great, thank you. Adam, the next question is for you. How is the spacing being done in customs/immigration? I know that you mentioned the plastic shield with the officer, but can you elaborate on the arrival process in airports since you've been in Mexico through this?
So let me tell you how this is really working. Everybody is required to have a mask on in the airport. There's no exceptions to the rule. Let's say, for example, in Los Cabos, the check-in experience, they have dots on the floor, which are located about 4.5 feet apart, just because of metrics and the way that Mexico has theirs. That's as close as they're getting to 5 feet. It's about 4.5 feet apart. In the check-in experience, it's very easy with the, plastic plexiglass in the front. There's no touch with anybody there. The agents are wearing rubber gloves. As far as immigration and coming in, and also customs experience, the same things. You will see multiple lines with dots on the floor and huge signs that say social distance. Also, the airport operators are working on holding flights until the custom halls are safely cleared out, so there is less people in the customs halls.
Great, thank you. At this point, we have no more questions, Tina.
Ron, I do have on my little feed, I'm getting some other information in regards to the question on decor. I've been reminded that all of any suppliers, outside suppliers, are going to be required to be certified by us in advance. So that means that basically they are going to be following the same kind of protocols, procedures, health and safety measures that are our standards. So that will be done. And then, let's see, sorry. We're still checking on the bellman and the room drop, sorry. But that is going to definitely be topics for the presentation, which will be July 7th, which is Stay Safe with Malia, very specifically on meetings and events, food and beverage, and kind of focused in on that, which includes the room drops, includes the group arrival procedures, stuff like that. So mark that day on your calendar as well. And see, all right, we're already getting like ready to go for the next presentation. So saying thank yous and wanting to come back. We will be excited to do the next rounds. I'm sure if you have some more questions that you think of later, please share them with us, share them with your Malia NSO, and we'll coordinate with Adam and Amanda to get that information to you. And some people have expressed interest in sharing the presentation. It has been recorded, so we will let you know when that recording is available. And I think that's it for today.
Thank you so much, Adam and Amanda. Great job. Great, Tina.
Thanks. Would you guys like to say anything? Okay.
Thank you, Tina, and thank you, Ron, and everybody in the back of the scene, Betsy, for putting everything together. Liz, thank you. Marco and Eduardo, thank you again for giving us this opportunity, and travel safe. If anybody has any questions, you can grab my email at adam@miexperts.com, and I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Thank you again for the opportunity.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. We can't wait to visit you in Mexico.